So it seems like lately you've been digging into the world of cryptocurrency.
Yeah.
And, you sent over some articles that really paint a pretty interesting picture of what's happening in the market right now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's pretty wild. We've got analysts kind of weighing in on, this downturn that we're seeing.
Yeah.
Some coins are getting hit harder than others.
Right.
But what's interesting is there are also some hints that a rebound might be on the horizon.
Yeah, for sure.
What really caught my eye was that some experts think this dip might actually be a really good buying opportunity.
Oh, absolutely.
And get this, some coins are even predicted to bounce back really fast.
Yeah, it's true.
So to help us kind of make sense of all this, we've got expert speaker here with us today to break it all down.
Yeah, happy to be here.
So one of the articles that I found really interesting was about Daniel Chung, who's the co-founder of Syncrecy Capital.
Right.
And he was basically saying that he thinks this downturn might last longer than a lot of people are anticipating, which would actually give investors more time to buy low.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
Well, I think Chung is really spot on. He's acknowledging that we're in for a longer period of volatility here. It's not going to be, this quick dip and then we bounce right back up.
Right.
It's going to be a little bit of a longer, kind of ride.
Right.
But here's the thing. I think for someone like you who's, maybe just starting to explore cryptocurrency,
Yeah.
a longer downturn could actually be a good thing.
Okay.
Because it gives you more time to really do your research and learn and strategize, your investments.
That's a good point. Yeah.
So you can really kind of get in at a good price and really learn what you're doing before things start to heat up again.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, especially when you consider, we've got sentiments analysis talking about this fear selling that's going on.
Oh, yeah.
And they pointed out some altcoins that have taken a pretty serious hit.
Mm-hmm.
Seems like a lot of retail investors are kind of panicking and selling off their holdings.
Right. Well, fear selling it's a classic market phenomenon.
Right.
When things get a little bit shaky, people tend to react emotionally.
Yeah.
And that's what leads to these big sell-offs, these cascade sell-offs.
Right.
But the interesting thing is those very sell-offs, they often create really good opportunities.
Oh, okay.
You've got coins like Kaya and Stellar, for instance.
Okay.
Sentiment noted that they dropped by, over 28%.
Wow.
Which is a pretty significant dip.
Yeah.
And, that kind of dip could attract investors who are looking for a bargain.
Right. Buy low, sell high.
Exactly. It's the classic buy low, sell high strategy.
Right.
But of course, it does require a certain level of risk tolerance and a belief that those coins are actually going to recover.
Right. Well, and speaking of recovery, Sentiment is actually predicting that coins like TRX, AVX, DOT, ICP, PO, FRIL, and TIA could rebound pretty quickly.
Yeah.
What do you think is behind that prediction?
Well, it's tough to say for sure without, really diving deep into each specific coin. But you can often look at a few key factors.
Okay.
So, is there something about the underlying technology of that coin that makes it particularly promising?
Mm-hmm.
Are its use cases, gaining traction out there in the real world?
Okay.
Have there been any recent developments within those projects that could signal a positive shift?
Okay.
A steep drop followed by some good news is often a strong indicator that it could rebound.
Right. That makes sense. But then you've got Daniel Chung over here suggesting that crypto could actually be headed for a longer bull run than we expect.
Yeah.
Despite, all these current struggles.
Yeah.
It almost feels a little contradictory to all this fear selling and this need for a quick rebound.
Well, and that's what's so fascinating about markets. They're rarely straightforward.
Right.
You're always going to find these differing viewpoints.
Of course.
Chung's optimism likely stems from looking at the bigger picture.
Yeah.
Things like the growing institutional adoption of crypto.
Right.
And the potential for some favorable regulations down the line.
Mm-hmm.
So if those trends continue, they could really fuel some sustained growth even after a prolonged downturn.
Right. So it's all about balancing those short-term reactions with that long-term vision.
Exactly.
And speaking of long-term, Bitfinex analysts have observed that there's reduced selling pressure on Bitcoin,
Okay.
even after it hit those crazy six-figure prices.
Right.
Does that tell us anything about what we can maybe expect going forward?
It could indeed.
Okay.
Reduced selling pressure on Bitcoin might indicate a shift in sentiment among those large holders.
Mm-hmm.
The whales, as they're often called.
Right.
If these major players are holding on to their Bitcoin even at those high prices, it suggests that there's growing confidence in its long-term value.
Yeah.
And that confidence could have a ripple effect on the entire market,
Okay.
potentially softening the blows of any future dips.
So what does all this mean for someone like me, who's navigating these crypto waters for the first time?
We'll keep a close eye on those altcoins that Santiment flagged.
Yeah.
You know how they perform in the coming weeks. Could be a really good indicator of where the market might be headed next.
Interesting. Okay, so it sounds like even in a downturn, there's still opportunities out there
Oh, for sure.
for those of us who are, willing to do our research
Absolutely.
and really try to understand the market dynamics.
Yeah.
And, fear can drive those prices down,
Right.
but it also sets the stage for some potential comebacks.
Yeah, big time.
And, while some experts are saying it's going to be a longer road to recovery,
Hmm.
others are already looking for those signs of the next bull run.
Right.
So it's really all about perspective and, like you said, balancing that short-term volatility with a
Yes.
long-term vision.
It's all about the long game.
Yeah, exactly. Well, this has been a really fascinating deep dive. I feel like I've learned a lot.
Good.
And, you've given us some really valuable insights to help us navigate this crazy crypto landscape.
Absolutely. And remember, it's a world of constant change.
Right.
So the learning never stops.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today, expert speaker.
It was my pleasure.
And to all of you listening out there, thanks for tuning in to this deep dive into the world of cryptocurrency.
See you next time.
We'll see you next time.